We are now live.
Everything I have starts to beep.
Beep, beep, beep. Yeah. Jesus. Alright, do I have chat open? I do. Hell yeah. Alright, we've got pre-show on the screen. We have a new icon in XSplit that does sharing the stream. Hooray, thanks. Speaking of, let's share this on Twitter. There we go. Whoop, nope, there we go. Man, I read something this week that
really
just so man, I have this problem every once in a while where like somebody will say something opinionated about a thing that either I'm excited to go see or play or read or whatever, or they say something like that about something that I'm really passionate about or that like I love and is a little bit misunderstood. And then it gets stuck in my head for months. And not necessarily in a bad way, it's just like, God, how could they think that? Like, they're just, I wish I could educate them that this thing is, like, not as bad as they think. You know, like, the Alpha Protocol problem.
I was just about to say, a really good example of this is people saying that Alpha Protocol is a fucking garbage game. It's like, no,
yeah, and I
just don't get it.
But, so, I was reading, I don't remember where it was. I think it was on Twitter. That someone, I ran into a thread, it was either on Twitter or some sort of random forum, because I was looking for help with something on Prey Moon Crash. Okay. And I had done some Googling, and I don't even remember where. It's one of those, like, internet black holes you get into, where it's like, wait, how did I get here?
Here's a link, here's a link, here's a link. Wait, what? I'm learning all about the history of worms and their migration across the planet. That's
yeah, it's just like, wait, what? It was like, it's super fascinating that I read that, but I was reading a thread. It had run across. No, I remember now. I think it was one of the trophy or achievement websites, and it was a thread about like the price before the game had been out. And someone had written, there was a whole thread about like, oh, we're not entirely sure what it is. Like, oh, these trailers have been kind of cool. Their Twitter account has been teasing that maybe it's a co-op thing. You know, no one knows what it is. And someone writes, I don't know why you'd be interested in this anyway. It's just a glorified horde mode. Why waste your time? And I was just like, wait, what? Like,
yep.
Wait, what? You don't even know. And like my dander got up because my immediate thing was like, you don't even know. Like, I don't think Moon Crash is far from perfect, but I'm like, you don't even have the basics. You don't know.
No. So, Boston, what I would like to do here is welcome you to the world of being a professional wrestling fan.
Oh God, I couldn't even imagine.
You either get it or you don't.
And I don't get it. But I'm not gonna like.
90% of people don't get it.
Yeah.
And then I think I can't remember who I heard talk about this, but it was someone talking about being a pro wrestling fan and like interactions with non-wrestling fans.
Right.
And how because pro wrestling is so looked down upon by everybody. Like, if you're a pro wrestling fan and there's like a guy who's obsessed with sports who hates pro wrestling, he thinks you're the lowest of the low because you like pro wrestling.
Yep.
And 90% of the time, the first thing these people say to you is, you know it's fake, right?
Right.
It's like, so years and years ago, I had someone describe it this way, and it perfectly sums it up to me. It's soap opera with violence. That's all you need to know. That sums it up perfectly. You know, it's a soap opera storyline with a bunch of athleticism and violence. More athleticism these days, less violence. Back in the 90s, it was more violent. Like, so that's fine. You know, I don't give you crap about watching your stupid soaps and your stupid stuff like that.
Right.
Even though I'm a sucker for some of them as well. So you don't get to say stuff about me watching my soap. Which
those are the same people that are like racing home at 90 miles an hour so they can watch like a Game of Thrones, where it's like, this is the same. This is the same thing. Like, And I think the thing that always bothers me about people saying it's fake, is like number one. Yes, everybody knows, unless you're like 5 and you just have no concept of how it could be fake. The thing that bothers me about that, as a non-wrestling fan, like I get it, but I don't enjoy it. Is that I feel like that.
See, the key to that is you just haven't found the right wrestler yet.
That's fair.
You haven't found the style you like, but carry on.
That's fair. The guy with the sock in his hand isn't there anymore, so like I'm totally out of it.
Can you name his actual name or his two other names that he goes by?
Cactus Jack. Cactus Joe is one of them. Yeah,
Cactus Jack is one of them.
Cactus Jack is one.
Which is weird that you referenced the sock, which is not part of the Cactus Jack character, because the Cactus Jack character is his hardcore, super violent character.
Oh God, yeah. I always had a soft spot for him because I felt like he really cared about wrestling and he really cared about putting on a good show.
Yes. Yeah. If you like. In terms of pro wrestling, there is no good guy to the level of Mick Foley that will ever exist ever again.
Yeah.
Because that's a man who... He was the wrong size, he was the wrong shape. He was
pretty ugly. Like
he was not... Especially at the time he came up, when like Sid Vicious and, and Bret Hart and all these like super clean-cut muscle guys are the thing. And there's a dude who doesn't have an ego, he doesn't do the politics,
has a beard.
He has a beard.
Yeah.
And like Mick Foley is like the ultimate good guy of wrestling.
Yeah.
Like there is not enough of them. The closest equivalent to them these days would probably be the New Day.
Yeah.
Who literally, when they get done, they don't do drugs or do anything else. They go stream video games on the internet.
I love those guys. But back to my original point, I think when people say like, it's fake, they also discount that these people are genuine athletes. Like, of course it's fake, but it's not like they're going out in muscle suits. They're not built like me and going out in muscle suits and like fake fighting. It's not like what Power Rangers could sometimes look like. It's not like they are actually athletes that are this big for, number one, to look like that, but also number two, because they have a physical, athletic job to go do.
Yes.
That, deals with them getting the shit beat out of them on a really incredibly hard mat.
Yep. And a really incredible regular basis. Like, people don't, you hear people talk about it, like, the thing that makes me laugh, like the brand split that they've got going on right now, WWE particularly, where they have two separate brands. That do two different rosters, basically. And they can do that now because they've got probably every wrestler you've ever really heard of is there, with the exception of people like Joey Ryan, who still isn't. But they work 300 days a year.
Yeah, like they're all consistently on the road and working some show in a town you have never heard of in the middle of Idaho. Like,
it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because you literally mentioned the best person to ever try and get someone into wrestling. It's Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Because
he's a character you will like. Yes.
Either one of his three characters, the three faces of Foley, you will like one of them.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have he's a great person, but after it. His but is he took things too far to make sure he give people a good show. That's his but.
Right.
Whereas you have AJ Styles, who is probably the greatest professional wrestler in the world right now. It's an arguable standpoint. He's probably one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But he has said some horrific things in the past. He has not been approached about these things these days. And he's a possible flat earther.
Oh, God. Well, I'm sure you saw today's Hulk Hogan news, right?
No, I did not. What's he done now?
Well, it wasn't what he did. The WWE brought him back in the Hall of Fame.
Of course they did. Why wouldn't they?
It's like, why the fuck would you do that with this monstrous racist?
Ask WWE who Chris Benoit is.
Yeah.
They refuse to acknowledge that man's name.
That's sad.
Like, they have a network where literally you cannot search his name in the network. They do not bookmark his matches on their shows.
God,
like,
that's crazy.
On the timeline, it's a bit like Netflix. Like, on the timeline at the bottom, they have dots. Start of match, end of match, start of match, end of match.
Cool.
Start of match, end of match. Really cool idea. Big, huge gap. There's a Chris Benoit match.
Right.
No dots, no nothing. Just
right.
huge
Can you
gap.
still watch the video, though?
You can still watch the video.
Okay. It's just like, you want to watch one of his matches, just look for a 5-minute gap.
Yes, exactly. And like it or not, they don't acknowledge the existence of Chris Benoit. They will never put China in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, really?
Or they have... That's an interesting one. Because
that's a whole separate topic.
China was dating Triple H when Triple H started dating Stephanie McMahon, who he then became married to. Their excuse they have given is that they do not want China in the Hall of Fame because if she goes in the Hall of Fame, their kids could Google her name and find pornography.
Oh my God.
Which is true. China did do porn.
Sure, yeah.
They already have somebody in the Hall of Fame who did porn.
Oh, really?
They have Mike Tyson in the Hall of Fame.
God damn it.
They have Hulk Hogan in the Hall of
Right.
Fame. They have Donald Trump in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, God.
There are so many more worse things. Sorry, correction. Jimmy Snuka is in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
And that is a whole different ballgame completely.
Hey there, Toxic Joker and T-Bomb rocks.
Hey guys. We're talking pro wrestling. It's fun.
Man.
Yeah, that's the one. Toxic Joker points out in chat. Sunny is the one I was thinking of.
Mm.
She is a former female wrestler who did porn and was put in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Politics!
Yeah, it's just like, if you're going to do politics, at least be upfront about it.
Mm-hmm. That's the funny thing is like the amount of stuff like they've gone through their shows they have on the network and they've cut out things where they talk about concussions because they're so worried about what's gonna happen to them if they leave that stuff in there. It's like, dude, chill.
Yeah.
It was part of the past. You need to either face the consequences or just leave it in there. It's not like you can't afford it, Vince. You're doing the XFL again.
Yeah. God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that just...
Oh, yeah. Paige, current member of the WWE roster.
Mm.
Homemade porn of her came out.
Jeez.
Also, I believe she broke her back and can't wrestle anymore. So now she's a GM on SmackDown.
Yikes. Yeah, so that... I feel like I have such a problem with...
That kind of...
That kind of stuff where someone will go online and say something that I know is wrong and I know is stupid and I know they just like they don't care. I never engage because if I was to go to someone and say like, well, actually, well, first off, I would hate to be a well actually.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was to go say Moon Crash is a Prey roguelike, they'd number one, I would probably be wasting my time because they'd be like, yeah, whatever, nerd. And I'd be like, well, that's hurtful. Yep. So, I don't know, but I get some of that stuff so, like, stuck in my craw every once in a while where it's like, how could, you're so wrong. What?
Yeah, that's
why?
Kind of ridiculous.
And, the only person I'm bothering is myself.
Yeah.
I just can't help myself.
That happens to me. That's why I'm still tweeting, but I'm not reading Twitter as much because literally I was scrolling through and Twitter is the bubble. It's the place where you go where people you follow and people who think you'll have the same opinions as you.
Yeah.
So apparently, what I need to do is start appreciating the mute button.
Yes.
To just mute certain hashtags.
I block so many people. It feels so bad.
It's not even to block people for me. It's just I don't want to hear a really good friend of mine. Like, I don't want to see them retweet something which I know is just going to bother me because it's like, how can people be so idiotic?
Right.
You gave a great example of it with an Elon Musk tweet yesterday, and I was just like, I looked at that chain and I was like, the world is falling apart.
Yeah.
It was actually reading that tweet made me tweet my next picture, which
Right.
was the gif of the whatever the dog's name is in the fire drinking coffee. Being like, yeah, this is fine.
Dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've started muting retweets from some people where it's like, I like the stuff you post, I do not like the stuff you retweet. But I've been blocking a lot of people, like especially a lot of famous people that are like posting a lot of super hot takes, where it's sort of like you were just so off the mark on whatever you're talking about. But on the other hand, I'm weird because I know everyone hates that feature of Twitter where you see stuff that the people you follow have liked.
Yes.
I like that a lot, though, because I follow like a lot of artists on Twitter.
And they like other art and let you see different styles of art, yeah.
Yeah, and like I follow new artists, and then they show me more stuff that they follow, and it's like, you know, I'm finding new music because people are doing that. It's not just... I feel like I might be like the only person that has like the perfect Twitter setup for things people have liked to actually work.
That's actually a really... Sorry, I have a cat stretching at my feet. It's a really good... I think that's a really good thing for the like feature. It's like a lot of people are a bit iffy about it. It's like, well, old people shouldn't see what I like. Screenshot it. Dead simple.
Sure,
then you've got that tweet saved forever.
Well, now you can save your tweet to bookmarks too.
So
like the one, there's like a new chain going on Twitter right now where, you know, 1 like equals I post one of my favorite video game tracks of all time. It's like, all right, whoever's doing it that I'm following, I'm going to save the top one in my bookmarks, and like tomorrow I'm going to go through and listen to some like bomb-ass video game music.
Is this the one where you started with the greatest video game soundtrack song of all time, period? I ain't hearing nothing from anybody.
I
decode that sentence.
I didn't do it yet, but...
you retweeted somebody, and they started with the showstopper.
Yeah, Aura Hack did Fear by Adam Friedland. Yeah. Which
is the best song in all video games ever.
Yeah, she really started with a showstopper, and I was like, if you're gonna start with Fear, I already like you. Now I really like you, and I really want to see what the rest of your thread has in it.
That song, that level, whatever, that tickles every part of my nerd brain.
Yeah.
Because it's a really great track, it's a really great game, and it's a quote from one of my favorite book series of all time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, I'll take that.
You know, that's another one. I really like Patrick Klepek. I know he's
he's divisive.
Yes, he's very divisive. But he once posted on Twitter that he tried Rez yet again, and I was like, oh no. And he's never understood the fervor for it because he doesn't like trance music. And I want to be like, but you're missing it then. Like
I hate
missing
trance music.
The game.
I hate trance music and I love Rez.
Yeah. To me it's like Rez is the sum of its parts. It is the music and the visuals and the evolution of each level across a game, plus like the vibration in the controllers, and like it's another one of those things where like you don't get it.
Exactly what we were talking about.
It's Patrick, I love you. You're killing me.
At least the best thing, like I think that's how you can tell the difference between a good human and a bad human. Because a good human will jump in there and be like, "No, you're wrong."
Right.
Oh, sorry. A bad human will jump in and say, "No, you're wrong. This is why you are wrong." Whereas a good human will either say nothing or be like, "Okay, I can respect your opinion. I disagree with it, or I can respect it."
Yeah.
Like, too many people. Especially
with something like Rez, like I feel like that's one of those things where like either it clicks with you and like you said, like it tickles something in your brain where like this is incredible, or you play it and you're like, I don't think I even understand what I just did in that level. Like,
yeah.
And it's so frustrating because I feel like to get the most out of Rez, you have to play all 5 levels. And
Definitely.
So people are like, oh my god, I have to unlock the 5th level. It's like, it's literally 4 hours to like play the whole thing if you've never played it before. If you have, it's like 2 hours in a sitting at most.
Oh, is Rez backwards compatible? Wait, what am I talking about? I have a PS4 now.
Heyo, play the brand new... That's in 4K.
Yes,
and
it is.
play the new level.
And I get to play X as well, yeah.
Fuck. It's so good.
I know. This will be like the 5th time I bought that game as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But that's one of those games where it's like, I have it on Dreamcast, I have it in US and Japanese on PS2, like, I bought it on everything, just, it's one of those games where you see it, it's like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, it's like, you're putting it out on something else? Cool, I will buy it. I will support it.
It's a really, really good game.
Yeah. Oh, man. Alright, before I get more excited about Rez, do you want to kick this thing off?
Sure, why not?
Let's get pre-show
I should probably turn this thing off now.
No.
Dude, have you seen the size of the ice pack I've got? It's huge.
I would kill for an ice pack that big.
Dude, spoiler alert, go find like lunch boxes at like dollar stores.
Yeah.
And some of them come with the ice packs on the bottom.
That's true.
Use those.
Hashtag life hack.
Hashtag pro hot tip.
Yeah. Alright, let's get started here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I just punched my microphone. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeter.
Hello.
No real announcements here at the beginning of this episode, so let's just dive right into it. Moonpeter, what have you been playing this past week?
Starting with Riddled Corpses EX.
I forgot to buy this.
Yeah, you really should. I think I managed to persuade T-Bomb into it. I think he watched a little bit of footage of it and jumped in, and pretty sure he likes it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really simple, it's really fun, and it's really cool. So if you're interested in a really cheap twin-stick shooter that's actually got a really cool art design,
yeah,
it's worth a shot just to pick it up. Even if you only play it for a couple of hours, it does have that wonderful roguelike thing that we love, where it's like, oh, you have gold that carries over and you can buy upgrades.
Yeah.
Go do it.
I think they said it was only $12 too, so it's...
Yeah, I think so. So
it's virtually nothing.
Exactly. It's 2 cups of coffee. Shall we just measure everything in cups of coffee these days?
Yeah.
So depending on your order, that's 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
So it's well worth your time. I didn't make too much progress on it. Right now, I'm just saving up gold so I can afford some of the high-end upgrades. But I've maxed out the character you start with, so now literally I cruise through like the first 4 levels like they don't even exist.
Yeah. And
then it starts to get really difficult after that. But the game is fun, and like you unlock characters with new abilities and stuff. Like there's one of the characters has got a magnet, so when gold gets dropped, it just comes into you like a vacuum, so you don't have to worry about it. It's really, really fun. Played a little bit of Rocket League.
Oh.
With the weird summer event going on right now. Which, I mean, come on. Salty Beach. That is incredible.
Yeah. Like, it's so perfect.
It's so perfect. And then they introduced a new bot too, who's called Salty, S-A-L-T-E. The new name for one of the bots for when someone drops out.
I love it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I still love Rocket League. That game, I think... It went free recently, didn't it? It went in Xbox Games Pass. It
did, yeah.
If you have never played Rocket League and you have Game Pass, just give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those games that it's real easy to play.
Yep.
Real difficult to master.
The tutorial's really good too.
Yes, and they do the good thing as well, where they have like floating balls, and it's like, okay, now go hit that into the goal, and just give you the sense of movement and direction and what the velocity is going to do when you hit the ball, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they just keep adding stuff to it all the time. You've got Rumble, you've got a dropout, I think is the mode. Like they've just got so many modes, and it's always funny playing hoops. 2-on-2 basketball with a giant floating ball and remote controlled cars.
Right.
And when you turn around, your tires squeak like they're on a basketball court.
Oh god, that's so good.
It's so good. The stages they've got are incredible. They have a soccer-themed stadium now as well, and the announcer on that stage is English, so he's like, "Go!"
Perfect.
It's really good. Rocket League is fantastic. If you're ever interested in playing it, even just for fun, let me know. I'm sure I'll play it. My wife will play it. There's a fair few people in the community, I think, who own this game, and it's really well regarded as something that you can go back to over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really amazing game. I played a little bit of Dead by Daylight. A very little bit of Dead by Daylight, because normally the amount I've played of it would not be worth mentioning. However, they did just drop new DLC.
Ooh.
There is a new killer out and about, and they give a huge new update. So it's interesting. They've now added an account level onto the game.
Okay.
They've tweaked the way the currencies work, specifically for the it's a web of shadows, I think it's called, or the shadow web. I don't know. It's like basically you can unlock character-specific traits or perks that you can then use in everybody else's stuff by spending a more premium currency on those items. Now, the thing with that is you could never buy that premium currency. That was just you take place in a match, you get 10 of this currency.
Okay.
So it was just a case of when you've got it, you can do that. They've reworked it all. They've added another currency in, which is a premium currency.
Right.
And they have added about 120 cosmetic items in.
Wow.
So there is huge changes across the board. They have an account level now, which they didn't have before, which by putting up your account level, you actually get the middle currency, the non-premium currency.
Right.
So there is blood, shards, and then these golden things, which I don't know the name of.
Yeah.
The shards, you can buy the cosmetic stuff with the shards, and you can buy the cosmetic stuff with this little golden premium currency stuff. And they've reworked the entire economy, how you earn each individual thing to correspond better with how much it's worth or how much to spend, kind of thing.
Okay.
So they've done a really major update, and with the account level now, as you level up, you get rewards for leveling up your account. So it's a really nice little touch. And then they dropped a new killer, which is a clown.
Okay.
And he's really, really creepy looking. He has a knife that looks like a leaf, which is kind of a really cool touch. And he throws bottles of booze at everybody.
God, he's terrifying.
Yes, he is.
Ooh.
And just to tie it in nicely with that, they've changed the main menu music to creepy clown music.
Oh no.
So that circus music that's just slightly discordant, they've now started putting all of that stuff on the main menu, or at least they did when I was playing it. So Dead by Daylight just got a whole bunch creepier.
Yeah. I'm really happy that they continue to support that so strongly, and I like that they added a new killer that he doesn't seem to be inspired by like a horror film or a show, but he's clearly creepy as all hell.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they've got a couple of really incredible ones, like the Wraith, I think it is. He's the guy who goes invisible, and literally you cannot see him when he's invisible.
No, even like Predator thing?
Nope. But he cannot attack you while he's invisible.
Right.
So, in order to do that, he comes out of his invisibility, and he gongs a giant cowbell at you. And it's just like...
Cowbells coming out.
Yeah, cowbells signify like 90s country / rock music.
Right. And
getting stabbed in the face by this wraith, so...
Toxic Joker in chat says, I just picked up Dead by Daylight, now I want to go play and learn how to not be bad. Do you have any beginner tips for someone that maybe just picked it up?
To be honest, I would say there is a tutorial in there now. There is a tutorial that they just added with this huge new update, so that's good. I haven't played the tutorial, so I don't know, but... To be honest, if you see me on, or if you see my wife on, give us a shout. We'll jump in. We'll run it through you a couple of times, because I think Rob and T-Bomb were playing it, and they lost like 4 straight matches because they didn't know what they were doing. And I jumped on with them, ran through, just did a quick brief description on certain things, and we won 4 straight after that.
Nice.
So I think it's just a case of you can either play it until you kind of get the hang of things, or you can like jump in with somebody who's played it a little bit and just ask away. Like, just ask the questions that come to mind, like what character should I be, what build should I go for, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The best thing about Dead by Daylight is when it gets to the high end, for me, it looks like it gets into that proper wow spreadsheet kind of thing,
Right.
where it's like, because there's a character I started with because I'm an idiot. I started with somebody, I just liked his name and the look of him. Didn't pay attention to the fact that it says, like, they give like descriptions of the difficulty to play that survivor.
Sure.
So it's like, this person's easy. Their main skills are they run fast, they can do things like their character specific perks are they run faster. When they're being chased, this perk can be activated, and they fix things faster. So great, that's a nice easy person to play. The guy I chose to play was designed to take the heat of the killer.
Oh no. You're the tank.
Yes, and keep on trucking.
Right.
And it gets even better because one of his personal perks is he is always injured and cannot be not injured, which means one hit and you're down. But his other character perks play off that really well, where it's like, okay, while injured, you repair things 10% faster.
Oh,
you
wow.
heal people 10% faster. You run 10% faster.
Oh, huh.
So then it becomes a case of, now I've got to level him up to the point where I've got those perks leveled up, and I'll be good to go.
Yeah.
It's just make the smart decision in this case. Don't make the right one, make the smart decision in this case. And just choose a character who's nice and easy to start with before you start playing around with other people. Like, you'll notice a lot of the easy to play like survivors are frequently all around you, because it takes something really special to use some of the other people. Like the lady from Michael Myers Halloween, the lady from Halloween, her licensed character, literally hit one of her perks is it puts you as the object of desire for the killer.
Oh, interesting.
So if that killer happens to be Michael Myers, it's really fun perks. Like, they can see you when you're exposed, and
geez.
they know where you are. So there's a lot of stuff going on. It just takes a bit. I would say get used to the basics first, and then start to think about the perks and the items and
Your
the
loadout.
loadouts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Think about that later. Just get used to the basics at first, and get used to, as my wife calls it, dip dodge weaving, so you can not get hit while being chased by a killer.
Right.
As a pro tip, something that always gets me, because the killers play first person, if you're being chased, turn around and run directly at the killer if they're really close, because you go from being someone's directly in front of you to behind you, and the turning radius is quite slow. So by the time you turn around, it's just like, okay, I don't know where they went.
Well, they're gone forever.
Yep. My last game this week, because I struggle with my time, it's God of War.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, God of War. God of War.
Forgot about that.
The boy game.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in this game.
Yeah, it's kind of, I found it kind of refreshing.
Yes, there was a lot of mystery at the start. I say at the start, not like I haven't been playing this game a lot. For the record, I am on my second journey up the mountain.
Right.
I have defeated the nest.
Okay, I don't remember that one.
It's like the first huge sequence that you get into.
Gotcha. Right. I remember that now, yeah.
Yes, I have defeated the nest, and I am at my second trip up the mountain.
Okay.
I just hit like the dark area in that section. There's a lot of light arrows on display here. That game's fun, like really, really fun. And the more it reminds me of Bayonetta, because the more I'm playing with the combat, the more I'm exploring and doing different things.
Yeah.
My favorite one right now is because I don't even use the axe that much.
Yeah.
I just punch people in the face a lot and then rip them in twain.
Yeah.
So my favorite move right now is the sweep, where it's literally someone comes running at you and you just do the spinny attack with your shield and put them on the floor. And it's like, okay,
yeah.
now you're on the floor. Now I'm just going to punch you a whole bunch, and now you're ripped in twain. So have fun with that.
Man, I just remembered how good it feels when you unlock the parry, and then it just the slowdown that game does, and like the radius it does out of your shield,
and the big boom as well, because it goes like boom, and it's just this great.
It felt so good. I feel like the thing they nailed so well in that game is every time you do something that is cool, it's still cool.
Yes.
Like, it rewards skill really well.
Yeah, it does. I did change out my, which this is where the Bayonetta thing really came into effect. Was I found an enchantment or a charm or whatever they're called, the left L1 and circle thing. I found one of those.
Right.
That when you dodge, slows down time.
Oh, hey, there we go.
Oh, hey, it is Bayonetta now, isn't it?
Time.
Yes. So I messed around with that for a little bit, but yeah, this game is really cool. I'm debating whether or not to explore the lake a whole bunch or to just keep going until I get some more skills, because one of my biggest pet peeves in games like this is I do a whole bunch of exploring in an area. It's like, oh, here's a chest that I can't get to because it's got some black lightning thing around it.
Right.
I will get that skill eventually. I do not have that skill right now.
Yeah.
Should I keep exploring in every single area or just power through to get all the skills and then go back?
I would recommend doing a little bit of exploring. Like, I in each area, I would do enough exploring up until the point where you're like, all right, let's get this thing back on track, because a lot of them, if you go back to an area and it's just like a chest in the middle of nowhere that you don't need a special skill or anything to unlock, a lot of times the drop that comes from there won't get improved over time. So you'll pick it up, and it might have been really helpful at the beginning of the game, but you have like, it's like a green, axe pommel, and next thing you know, like, you're using a purple one that does something crazy, and this green one drops. It's like, oh well, that wasn't really worth it.
That's true. I'm also torn on the upgrades. Like, it's something I did hear. The main criticism of this game was I didn't want to spend upgrades because I kept on getting new loot. It's like, yeah, I don't really want to upgrade anything because every time I go into a new area, I get better stuff. So I've just wasted a bunch of mats on upgrades that I didn't need.
Yeah, I tried not to upgrade. I was really worried with some of those upgrade materials because they seemed to not drop like crazy. I saved a lot of those until I got something really good where it's like, okay, this is by and far better than what I have right now. Maybe I'll invest a little bit to upgrade. I would still upgrade your kid's armor.
I've been trying to, but I can't find any materials for that yet.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff I was a little frustrated by. I think they show you that you can upgrade that stuff too early, as opposed to like, oh, I have 2 out of the 3 things you need, and now I can upgrade it. I just need to eventually find the 3rd thing. The only other thing I would recommend for the lake is there was one side quest there where you have to help like 4 people, or drowned people.
The spirits, yes.
Yeah,
I just unlocked that quest.
Yeah, I would do that one because it's not very hard. If you do have to fight stuff, it's all pretty easy. And it gives you just a ton of materials and a ton of experience really early on.
Cool. Yeah, I'm enjoying the game. The game, let's just talk about this actually. That game looks astonishing.
It's crazy.
It's insane how good that looks. And let me tell you, Boston, just to get the little jelly out of Boston here.
Yeah.
All about the area that has the nest, and you are trying to regain the light.
Right.
Let's talk about HDR in that area.
I couldn't even imagine.
It's so good, dude.
Are you running on, I'm assuming you're running on resolution mode instead of performance mode for that?
Yes, I am.
I'm really happy that more games are starting to do that, because, like, there are some games where I might not... Like, God of War, I want that to look as good as it looks, and if it's 30 frames, that's fine. But there are some games where, if it's maybe more of an open world, I don't necessarily need that to... Especially with a 1080p TV, I might not necessarily need it to look 4K that's being, super sampled or whatever.
Yeah.
But 60 frames would be really great.
Yeah, but that game just looks so good.
Yeah.
Like, I can see the pause on Kratos' back at every minute of the day.
Yeah, like, the thing
it's a little creepy.
Yeah, the thing that I thought was really great in God of War is I feel like they did a really good job when you see Kratos' face that you can tell that it's a dude that has the ash on him. Like, there's that texture to it where it's clearly not his skin.
Yes.
But it still looks really good.
Yeah, and I it's hard to describe like how good of a job they do in making this thing look incredible. Like, so far I've only been to two of the 9, and I'm really interested to see if they do the full 9 or if they just do like maybe 3 or 4 or whatever.
I'll slightly spoil it for you here. They don't do all of them. They do, let's say, the majority of them.
Yeah, there's one that's missing, so that possibly hints at DLC in the future.
They address that in the game.
Okay.
So what I think is really impressive about God of War is I don't think there's really any opportunity for DLC. I think when you finish the game, like the normal ending just dumps you back in the world, and then they very strongly hint like maybe you should go home and rest. Wink. And you do that, and there's like a little, credits stinger. But beyond that, I don't really think I see them expanding on that stuff into God of War 2 more than any sort of DLC.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the game, like they've done a really solid fundamental storytelling thing here as well, which is, I mean, I haven't played the other God of War series. I played like 10 minutes of 2. That's about it.
But you know, like, who Kratos is.
Yes, I know all about his deal with Ares and the betrayal thereof and that
killing
kind
his
of
family,
stuff.
putting the ashes on himself.
Yes, so I know all of that stuff. But my favorite thing that they've done so far is, number 1, the first, I'm assuming, big boss fight you encounter with the stranger. He specifically points out that you are not from the area, which is a nice touch.
Yep.
Then when you meet the witch, she tells you exactly who you are.
Right.
Which is kind of cool as well. But then also it's the fact that you can tell that through the strange relationship with his kid that he hasn't bothered learning anything because he was fine in his little circle of protection.
Yeah. It's interesting because it feels very much like Kratos, where it's like, number 1, I don't trust the gods. Number 2, I had my family and I was relatively happy, so whatever's going on in this world doesn't really concern me. And
because look what happened last time it did. Yeah,
and then, like, of course it comes to bite him because he didn't concern himself with it at all. Yeah, I like that for the stranger when he's during that fight very much saying, like, I know who you are. Like, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the witch essentially says the same thing to him as well.
Yeah.
And I love how you learn the history of the world as Kratos learns it, as...
Yeah.
I forgot his name. As Boy.
Atreus?
Atreus. That's the one. As he teaches Kratos is how you learn all about it. So even if you've got no history with the actual mythology they're diving into this time, which is the Norse one...
Yeah.
You learn about them through Atreus teaching you all about them.
Yeah, and like all the stuff that his mom taught him, he's passing on to. Yeah.
Yep.
It's really great.
I'm really interested to learn more about his mother. Really interested.
I was happy with how much they cover her in the game.
Yeah, because right now I'm getting snippets.
Yeah.
Right now I'm getting tiny little touches, like I'm just now learning about the history of the axe.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, these guys, like, gameplay-wise, it's very rote, shall we say. The gameplay itself. Like, if we were to take everything else out of the equation and just look at the pure gameplay, it is very A to B character action game with puzzles along the way.
Yeah, like, the fighting is solid, but it's not... I think later on when you get more skills and you have more stuff that it gets better, but at the beginning it's sort of like, okay, I'm gonna hit like square and triangle a bunch for triangle square. All right, that did a combo. Like
clearly you haven't played God of War because it's R1 and R2 in this game.
I think that's right. God, I forgot. Yeah, like new character action games. It's not square triangle. It's R1 R2.
R1. Yep, exactly. So I mean, so far the gameplay itself is very were very, very written, very rote. The thing that's pulling me through this is, number one, the game is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And number two, it's doing that great thing that good books do. Like, really great novels where you start the book and it gives you a little fish hook.
Yeah.
And then by the time you're halfway through, you're like in the net already, and you're just trying to find the end so you can figure out exactly what's going on and get as much information as you can. So,
I think
full credit.
I think one of the biggest things for me, and one of the things I've been surprised to hear people criticizing the game for, has been, I think they did a really great job at environmental pacing. Where, like, by the time you're sort of done with the intro area, hey, here's the Lake of Nine. It's like, well, oh, okay, great. I get a boat, and it's totally different. By the time you're sort of done with that, it's like, all right, here's the second realm. We have other realms. It's like, oh, that looks totally different, too. And, like, the other realms look completely different. So there's so much. To me, I felt like, and it's probably primarily the way that I was playing the game, where I go into an area, I, like, scour for as much stuff as I can and try and internally think of, like, the Metroidvania thing, where it's like, all right, there's like a jewel here on the ground, I don't know what that does, and like there's like brambles around this chest, I don't know what's that doing, but like I went on the lake and I did a couple islands and I did some stuff cool, but like by the time I had exhausted all the stuff I could do, like all these little puzzles in the environment, I was ready to go to the next area, which had a whole nother set of puzzles, and that rinse and repeat I thought was what pulled me along pretty quickly.
Yeah, they do a really good job of that, and like I said, it's just got me intrigued, and it's hard, like, spoiler alert, rough period recently, folks, but it's hard for me to be intrigued by stuff.
Yeah.
And this is doing an incredible job of keeping me intrigued, and it's one of those things where it's like, I got an hour before I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
I got an hour. I can make a little progress. Wait.
And you can save anywhere, right?
I believe you can, yes, but it does kick you back to the last checkpoint when you load it up.
Yeah, so like an hour, let's do some stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's get to the next puzzle, see if I can figure it out. If I can't, I go to bed, come back tomorrow. Oh, hey, there's the solution because I slept on it. It works out nicely. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing this week. But yeah, God of War is really good.
Yeah. I played a little bit more Destiny 2, sort of past the last mile on a bunch of Moments of Triumph stuff that I've been holding off on. One of the big ones was region chests. Those are those gold chests that are sort of tucked away in each map. I've collected all 64, 86 of them or something. I think I only needed like 20 more by the time Moments of Triumph came. I'm glad they made that a Moment of Triumph because I really liked going and looking on the map and saying, like, all right, it's over here, and just sort of figuring out some sort of environmental puzzle to get to the chest. The rewards aren't good. It's usually just like, well, here's 3 tokens from this planet. It's like, great, I've like maxed out this reputation already. But I like doing those little puzzles because there's nothing really in Destiny 2 like that.
Yes.
So I knocked that out. I prestiged myself on the casual PvP playlist. So I hit rank 5 on PvP, and then it's so weird because you basically get like 1,800 points gets you to rank 5, and then 2,000 points allows you to prestige yourself, which I don't really understand because it should just be like you get to rank 5.
It should be 1,800.
Right, like I don't... It's weird. It's Destiny weird. There's no... seemingly no rhyme or reason for it, but 200 points is basically 2 victories, so I can knock that out. Like, I've already gotten this far. So I got my reward for that. If I have time during season... this is season 3. If I have time during season 3, I'd like to prestige again, because then you get an exclusive ghost shell. But
this is sweet cosmetics.
Yeah, and it looks pretty cool. And the bonuses on it are pretty solid. I would like for them to have another triple point reputation weekend.
Yes.
I might do it then, but otherwise it's just a lot of playing PvP, which I think On Tuesday, they're fixing it so every mode that isn't the competitive playlist, or every PvP mode that isn't competitive, feeds into that Valor rank.
Oh, good.
Which should have been there in the first place, but...
Wait, what?
Better late than never, I guess.
Hold on. Something to do with Destiny that should have been in there in the first place.
Yeah, it's so frustrating because the Tuesday's patch is the big one. It's 1.2.3. And they're fixing so much stuff where it's like, oh, thank God, you're fixing like the 50 things that have been driving me crazy. And they're putting bounties back in the game. You played Destiny 1, right?
Yes.
Remember you'd go to that robot and he'd have like 10 bounties to do that day?
Yes.
They didn't
They'd
put
have
that...
like 3 dailies, 3 or 4 dailies, then like 2 or 3 weeklies and something like that.
PvP ones and PvE ones and all that, yeah. They didn't do that in Destiny 2 on launch. I don't know why. Until this week, they're like, well, we didn't think people would like that to come over. And it's like, no, like that kept me playing literally every day because I could go in, do a little bit of stuff for like an hour, get a bunch of reputation, maybe turn some stuff in the tower, and then move back on. But like,
yep.
So I'm excited for that to come back because they're talking about, as part of this and then the big Forsaken DLC that basically starts year 2 for Destiny 2, they're changing the majority of how DLC works now, which we haven't talked about on the show. But long story short, you have to buy the yearly pass for Destiny 2 now because they're not putting themselves in the position anymore where it's like, oh, well, you bought Destiny 2 and you bought Warmind, but you didn't buy Curse of Osiris, so you're going to sort of be missing stuff. Basically, it looks like they're making the smart call for once. And it looks like instead of focusing on story on DLC, which they have not been doing well, they're going to be focusing on larger story arcs that happen over months and months.
Good.
So it's not just download this DLC, blow through story through 2 hours, and then, hey, whatever, there's a new raid eventually. So the initial level of investment is probably going to be pretty high, but I'm hoping it works out for the best. Mostly I bought the new DLC for Gambit. I don't know if you've seen that new game mode.
Nope.
It's PvEVP. So basically, they're taking a PvE mode and smushing a little bit of PvP on it. So basically,
okay, so it's a MOBA.
No, it's actually really interesting. There's a really good like 2.5-minute trailer out there for anyone that wants to see gameplay. But basically, you and 3 other people are dumped into an arena, and you have to. It's very big. You have to kill a whole bunch of enemies. Enemies drop these little tokens. You feed those into a bank in the middle of the map. That the more tokens you feed in, the stronger and bigger, basically blocker enemy you spawn on the other team's arena. So it's almost like Tetris, where you're saving up as many Tetrises as you can to sort of screw the other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever you bank enough tokens, one person on your team can invade the other team's arena to do a little bit of light PvP and try and screw them up as much as possible. And kill as many of them as you can, and then sort of scoot back through the gate to kind of win on your side. It looks really good.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the money investment is pretty high. So.
Yup.
The other thing I did is I'm one of the moments of triumph with which I'm still not entirely sure I'm gonna do. Basically, in 2 weeks they're gonna do the new event called Solstice of Heroes. It's the latest free event. They have a whole bunch of moments of triumph they're going to unveil during there. I'm halfway to the t-shirt, so I'm at 125 points right now, 250 for the t-shirt. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can't get yet that's part of that. One thing I've been working on is the Vanguard reputation. It maxes out at 50. I'm right now at like 25. I started this week at 13, I think.
Okay, so when you focus down, you can actually get a lot done.
Yeah, and part of it was I only did heroic strikes when the modifiers were good. They're actually changing a couple of the modifiers in this big patch, thank God. But one of the good modifiers was epic and heavyweight. Epic means enemies have more health and they don't stagger when you do large damage on them. And then heavyweight is heavy weapons do a lot more damage and heavy ammo drops more often. And there was Solar Singe, sorry. So it was basically me and Sleeper Simulant with 2 other people with Sleeper Simulant just burning through these strikes. I had a couple of strikes where we did it in 12 minutes for a heroic strike. Like, we were just cooking. And I think
Solar Singe cooking.
Yeah. I think this is the week where a lot of people are starting that grind up to it. And it makes me even more sad that they removed you hanging out with people in your fire team if you find randos from strike to strike, because I kept finding these great people that had the right loadout, the right skills, they were using Sleeper Simulant, and anything that wasn't like normal trash mob were clearing stuff like nobody's business. And in 10 to 15 minutes we'd finish a strike and get kicked to orbit to find 2 other people. Yep. I want to stick with those people. Like, I can help them and they can help me. I would spend the next hour or 2 just blowing through this stuff like nobody's business. But now I have to, you know, there was one strike where this guy kept, like, staying just out of the battlefield enough where people wouldn't shoot him. So it was just me and another guy, you know, holding down a 3-person strike. So I did the thing I usually did was, most times people will put their controller on a table, so I'll shoot him to vibrate the controller off their table. The other thing is, when you're in a fire team with someone, you can push them. So I'd get behind them, and I would just push them right into the boss, which was great. And then the other person on the team that was playing figured out what I was doing, so we would take turns pushing them into the boss until they got upset enough that they left. It's like, cool, I'm not going to carry you, right? Dude. Yeah.
That serves you right.
Yeah. I have been playing the Final Fantasy V Forge Out Fiesta. I'm at the very end of my 3rd run. I am having more trouble than I was expecting on Neo X Death, the very final boss. I thought this would be a pretty easy win, and it has been all the way up until this boss. So, I think I need to get maybe 1 or 2 more levels, which will be pretty easy, or figure out a little bit of a different way to do my setup. But so far, not happening as easily as I would want to.
Yeah.
I picked up 2 new Switch games, actually 3 new Switch games this week.
Nice.
First up is Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker.
Oh, the old Wii U classic.
Yeah, man, I loved this on Wii U. They have, they actually made one really important improvement in this game. The Wii U mode, on Wii U, there were 2 cameras. One was a little too far back, and the other one was literally, like, right on top of Toad. And neither one of them were really what you wanted. In this one, they added a middle camera. So it's...
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's literally between the 2 extremes, and that one is... Not only can you look at the game and how great it looks, but you can actually play it in that mode instead of having to sort of like look over Toad's shoulder and be like, hey, what are you doing? The other thing they added is weird. So...
Okay.
On the Wii U, if memory serves correctly, you could only play it on the gamepad because it relied pretty heavily on using the microphone to like blow platforms around, which they removed, thankfully, because you can't do that on Switch. And then touching certain things in the environment to either stun enemies to get around them, or one of the early levels has 2 differently colored sets of platforms. If you tap it, it sort of switches between 2 layouts of the level. You can play it docked or undocked this time. Undocked, it's great. You touch a screen, it's the normal thing. You use the 2 Joy-Cons, like it plays exactly how you would want to play it. When you're docked, and I'm playing with a Pro controller, it uses the gyroscope in the Pro Controller, and I'm assuming on the Joy-Cons too, with that little weird, like, dog-looking controller docking thing. And it puts a reticle on the screen that...
Oh, motion controls.
Yeah, but it's not. What it actually turns it into is it turns it into a mouse pointer.
Yeah, motion controls for a mouse pointer. That's the worst.
And you have to hit ZR to, like, push, you know, like, tap your mouse pointer on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I thought it was going to be way more annoying than it was at the beginning. Thankfully, it's very small, and you only need it for basically the Pixel Toad hunt mode. When you clear a level, you can go back in and, like, spawn Pixel Toad, and then you find him, you put your cursor on him, you hit him, or you just tap him on the screen. And then he goes, "Oh no, you found me," and then you complete the level, essentially. So it's nothing super big. I didn't know it was there before release, and I'm sort of a little happy I didn't know that, because number one, you should just probably play it undocked, because it's fine that way.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the little cursor isn't that big. I ignored it pretty immediately.
Good.
It's a little weird to, like, use it to touch the level to, like, move some stuff around the environment. If I play it long term, I'll probably just play it undocked. Which isn't, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and to be honest, basically it's a Wii U game, so it should be played that way anyway. So
yeah, because, like, it uses the touchscreen so much. Like, there's an early level where you have these. They almost look like thwomps with like spikes on the outside of them, and they're sort of shuffling back and forth on this pathway you're trying to get to. If you just tap on them, they, like, cower in fear for a minute. You can just walk around them, and that's intuitive, as opposed to, you know, moving your cursor and then hitting ZR at the right time. Like, it doesn't feel as good as it does undocked, or as it did on the Wii U. So
yeah,
and that's fine. It's only, I think it was $40. The reason why I picked it up is it was one of the few games that Amazon had the 20% off promotion on, so I got like $8 off. So $30
nice.
For that game is a pretty good deal.
Yes, it is.
I got my copy of Octopath Traveler. I have to give a shout out to my brother who pre-ordered this for me months and months ago. Showed up on Friday on release date, and I've put, I think, about 4 hours into it now. Some of that has been pause time, of course, but...
Well, yes.
I think the first thing to probably talk about is the graphical style.
Yeah, let's just talk about this, because, like, at E3, that art style is insane.
Yeah.
But really, really cool looking. Now, does that actually translate in the actual game?
It does. It's really crazy. So, number one, it's an Unreal Engine 4 game, which I'm surprised about with how much they bent that engine. I think graphically I'd say about 90% of the time it holds up. I have a little bit of frame rate issues when it's docked, but I haven't been playing it that much docked. I've been sort of playing it in bed at night undocked, so
yeah,
I don't think either I'm running into a weird issue, or, you know, the new patch that just came out is a little weird. I think the majority of the time it looks really good. Sometimes it looks a little bit blurry because they're trying to do some depth of field. And sometimes when you're walking through a dungeon, they put a big emphasis on exploring dungeons, and you can't change the camera angle. So a lot of times you'll see, like, a chest off in the distance, and you actually have to, you know, instead of going up these stairs, you go in this cave next to it, and then sort of go all the way back and hang a right, and you go, you know, you'll end up way off in the distance next to the chest.
Yeah.
That stuff is really cool. They do it in towns, they do it in the overworld, they do it in dungeons. I think that stuff is really rewarding, but sometimes when you have those elements in the foreground, it doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
And I think I've found the game overall a little bit dark.
Are we talking lighting or thematically?
Definitely not thematically. Lighting mostly. The game does. If you've seen the title screen, or if you've seen any gameplay, you've seen how it sort of has that vignetting around the edge, where it's a little bit of darkness around the edge of the picture. Sometimes that makes the game a little bit dark, especially when you're in caves. You know, you have a little lantern out, but it's maybe a little bit. I have the brightness turned all the way up too. Even turning that vignetting off, I still find it a little bit dark sometimes, which is sort of surprising. But a lot of the areas I've been in have been like, bandits are up in this cave, or pirates are up in this cave, and
a lot of caves.
Yeah, like a lot of caves. Towns are a little bit drab, and the overworld is a little bit uninteresting, but I think that's just who I picked as my main character. I think just the area is a little bit boring looking. Actually, speaking of that, I started... This game is really interesting because when you start it, it says pick your character that you want to start the game with. And I just got a text from my brother saying, this person will always be in your party throughout the entire game, so you can switch out the other 3 characters, but this one is going to be your permanent character. I picked the warrior because I figured sword
it's a nice middle.
Yeah, like that seems like the safe choice. I didn't want to pick dancer or merchant or thief. You know, a lot of those seemed like going to be buffs or debuffs or something that would complement someone else.
New Game Plus when you know what the systems in play are. Yeah.
I probably won't play this game again based on... well, we'll get there. So
wow.
I really enjoy the game so far, but like I feel like I have to lay this groundwork before we talk about the ending of the game.
Okay.
What I really like is I picked my first character, and you go through their intro, which so far I'm less than impressed by the voice acting, which is shocking for Square Enix.
Is it? Is it really?
No, Square Enix normally, I'd say 9 out of 10 times they put out really good quality voice acting. And what games are you thinking of that aren't good?
Funny you talk about out of 10. I'm specifically thinking of 10.
Yeah, 10's voice act. I'm thinking of post Final Fantasy 12 Square Enix.
Okay.
Like you look at Kingdom Hearts and you look at Final Fantasy 15. You know, those are Kingdom Hearts delivers cheesy lines with good voice actors.
Yes.
You know, mostly well. Final Fantasy 15 is really great. Final Fantasy 14 is really great. Look at Nier Automata, some of the best English voice acting in the last probably 10 years. So Octopath Traveler, with as much voice acting as there is, and how much they're focused on just one character, with the voice acting being not great and a little overwrought, is a little bit disappointing. I've been playing it without the sound on a lot, and it feels a lot more like a 16-bit RPG in kind of a fun way.
Yes. So right up your wheelhouse.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame. At some point, I might just turn the character voices off completely because the soundtrack so far has been incredible, which Square Enix has not been nailing it on lately. But I think the thing that's really interesting, I started as a warrior, and you go through an hour with just him for his intro quest. And you fight a bunch of people in this town, and then you go fight some bandits in a cave. And you fight a hilariously huge end boss.
Is this the why is this dude so big picture I saw?
Yeah, he's so big. Like,
yep.
Every boss I have fought has been, here's a couple of normal-sized henchmen, and here's a dude that's just a giant sprite. Like 4 times bigger than everybody else.
Honestly, that probably could have been the last boss, and it wouldn't have surprised me.
Yeah. The thing that I really liked about that boss is it really wasn't messing around. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I heard before this, and I will share this with everybody, is... I think the main healing item in the game is like healing grapes, and they give you a ton of money when you start your first character. They give you like 2,500 gold, and I think each healing grape is like 50 gold. Buy 10 of those before you go in your first dungeon. You will have to use... I used like 7 of them in that boss battle. They heal you for 500 health. Like, that boss really wasn't messing around. But sort of in a fun way, where it wasn't just, all right, I'm going through this dungeon, like one-shotting these enemies.
Yeah.
What was really great is, once I finish with that hour, you leave town, and they dump you in the world map, which is fully explorable. And then it said, all right, there are 7 other icons on the map. Go find another person. And you can just go wherever you want and scoop up whoever you want to in your party.
That's kind of cool.
And it very much says, like, well, here are the chapter 1s of all these other characters. Here's chapter 2 for the character you picked. Like, all these other chapter 1s, you should be level 5. Chapter 2 for this guy, level 25. So it's very clear, like...
Get a party of 4 before doing this.
Yeah, like, let's try and do some of this stuff beforehand. So one of the things that's really interesting is you have all your normal skills in battle. I guess I should talk about battle a little bit. The producer on this game originally had said they were making a spiritual successor to Final Fantasy VI, which couldn't have been more wrong. Basically, they're taking a saga game.
In a good way or a bad way, they could not have been more wrong.
Both, probably.
Okay.
A spiritual successor to me of Final Fantasy VI is sort of like this slightly open but very well done, really great sort of traditional JRPG. And I think what they did with...
So when you say a really good spiritual successor to 6, we both stumbled over that.
Yeah.
Are you talking more like Ni no Kuni 2 as a good example of that?
Yeah, I would say that's probably more like a traditional JRPG, where it's, you know, Final Fantasy VI had a pretty heavy story, but a lot of it was pretty straightforward. You know, you only split up your team 2 times, but what he really should have said, but probably wouldn't sell any copies here in the US, is they took the Saga series, which is largely... My favorite is Saga Frontier, which did a very similar thing, which is pick one of your 8 characters at the beginning, and then the rest of their storylines will sort of weave and go around each other's. And then they combine that with the battle system of Bravely Default switched up a little bit. So the battle system's really interesting because when you start, each enemy has a little shield next to them with a number on it. And that's basically how many times you need to hit that enemy with something they're weak to, like a spear or a wind magic or a sword, before you break them, and then they're stunned.
Okay.
And where that comes into play is you basically get like a free turn on them, but every time you're attacking the enemy, you're saving up. I don't even remember what they're called, but you have these little these little pips next to your character's icon, and when you have enough of those saved up, or at any point really, as long as you have more than 0, you can use that to attack multiple times at the same time. So
okay.
It didn't really go as far as Bravely Default is, where Bravely Default is like, all right, turn 1 I'm going to heal, turn 2 I'm going to cast this other thing, turn 3 I'm going to attack, and I'm going to use this item. It very much is, how many times do you want to attack with basically your weapon or one of your attack skills. So it's kind of this cool thing where you and your party are hitting this enemy enough to break them, and it's just sort of dumping on them. That has felt really good so far. But on the other hand, every character has this skill they can use when you're not in battle. The warrior guy can challenge people to a duel, Any person that's sort of like standing around that's eligible.
Yeah, I saw some people talking on Twitter about playing as the warrior and basically doing everything in a town and then wiping that town out.
Yeah, it's sort of funny because you don't kill them, you just knock them out. And what it's meant to do, which is really interesting, is there'll be a bunch of buildings and you can see some that you can get into, or maybe you see a chest where you know the side path goes to, but there's a person blocking it. You can go duel them, beat them, and they sort of like get knocked out of the way. Then you can get in that building that has some good treasure in it, or you go in that alleyway that has a treasure chest at the end of it. So far that's been kind of fun, just seeing, puzzling out like, okay, that's where that thing is, and this must be the pathway. Okay, so I gotta beat this guy who's about my level, so the battle's gonna be really hard. But then I get a bunch of experience from it and gold, and then I knock him out and then sort of get his stuff.
Yeah.
I only have 2 characters right now. Before the show, I did the Merchant's storyline because she was the closest to me. That was another, like, here's an hour, but now for any of the battles, I had 2 party members. I had the warrior, and now I have the merchant. And then now I'm going to go get my 3rd one. I'll have 3. You can only have a party of 4. So that was another hour, and now I have her, and she can purchase things from normal people around the city, and some of those people are going to sell stuff you can't buy in shops.
Okay, so she's like she's a wheeler dealer. She's like, oh, that's a nice watch you've got there.
Yeah.
Would you take this apple for it?
Yeah, and a lot of it is like, well, they have a really cool sword they have on there that's stronger than the thing you can buy in the weapon shop over here, and it's a little bit more money, but this dude over here is the only one that is going to sell it.
Yeah.
So far that seems pretty cool. I'm excited to get more people in my party to see how I can manipulate these towns and environments more. That seems really exciting so far. I've been really surprised. I've been talking about this game with my brother and T-Bomb Rocks. We all have it at the same time. All 3 of us picked vastly different characters. Like, my brother picked the mage, which he said he's been clearing the beginning of the game through with some sort of holy spell. And I don't remember what T-Bomb Rocks picked, but he picked something totally different too. And all 3 of us haven't really had a problem going through the game, so it's not like, all right, for your first character, you can only pick, the huntress or the warrior. That's your only 2 options, and then pick from there. It sounds like they've done a really good job of, this. I wish they would have said this person is going to be stuck in your party for the whole game.
Yeah. You
will get all 8 characters, but you can pick whoever you want, but make sure you're going to pick the one that you're going to be happy with who's in your party. Which I'm happy I picked the warrior because I feel like damage dealing is probably never going to be out of fashion for a JRPG.
Probably not, no.
Yeah. So my second character only took an hour. It seems like that's going to be about as long as it's going to be for the first 8 characters, which seems fair. I really like that after your first character, when you go introduce yourself to another character you're interested in picking up, it very much says like, hey, do you want to see their intro? And I didn't say no on this character, but I sort of assumed that it's going to skip a lot of their story and just like dump you into a bunch of battles. So that could be really interesting if you're... I feel like even right now, the main strength of the game is going to be the battle system. And figuring out how to fight and putting your party together and all your jobs and your skills and all that stuff. And it's not going to be the story. Which for me is fine. Like, as someone who enjoys Final Fantasy V a lot.
Wait, you enjoy Final Fantasy V?
I really do. For me, an RPG doesn't have to have a great story to be good. But at the very least, if it doesn't have a great story, it needs to have a really great battle system. And so far, Octopath Traveler seems like it has a really satisfying battle system, like breaking the enemy's defenses and, fighting bosses has been really great. they have had some cool AI stuff that's been going on. So I'm mostly just really excited to dig pretty deep into this. And you had mentioned earlier New Game Plus. I don't think I'll do that because from what I'm reading from a bunch of reviews, sounds like you don't really miss out on anything because you'll get all 8 party members, and it seems like once you have that, you just kind of do their chapter 2s, their chapter 3 story, and then whatever the ending is for the overall game.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like there really isn't anything you'll miss. It's not like, okay, well, you do another playthrough and pick these people, and then you'll see a whole
Dragon
different
Age
story.
Origins.
Yeah.
That was such a good idea.
Yeah.
Risky, but good.
So far I'm enjoying the game. I think I'm impressed that graphically it works out.
Yeah.
I'm happy it has a great soundtrack. I'm a little bit bummed at the voice acting. I feel like this year for JRPGs hasn't been really great for voice acting. Between this having sort of lackluster voice acting and Ni no Kuni 2 having a suite of incredible British voice acters that seem to...
I'm using them for about, what? You got 60 minutes to knock this out?
Yeah, like about 2 lines every cutscene. You know, like, it's been a bit of a bummer this year for you know, franchises that usually have incredible voice acting.
Yeah.
So, I'm still not sure right now if I would say, you know, like, go out and get Octopath Traveler if you have a Switch. If you like JRPGs, you're probably playing it right now anyway. Because it's like the JRPG release for this time period. For this
year.
Yeah. What
Kingdom Hearts 3 is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, and that's next year. And that's almost not even like a JRPG anymore. It's just kind of like an action game. Yeah, I mean, this might be one of the biggest JRPGs coming out this year, except for Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, of course.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm hoping to have spent a lot more time. It came out on Friday, like most Switch games do, unfortunately. So I haven't had the whole week to spend with it. So hopefully I'll have a lot more to talk about it next week after I'm hoping at the very least to have all 8 characters and sort of have my full posse of peeps. And last but not least, my latest new Switch game is Hollow Knight.
Yep.
I gotta give huge credit to T-Bomb Rocks. He stumbled on a thread on the Cheap Ass Gamer forums that, to me, sounded like it wouldn't work. And it was basically someone saying, "Hey, Hollow Knight is permanently 50% off on the Mexican eShop store. You can go buy it there." And I was just like, this doesn't sound like a thing I would be able to do.
Yep.
So I followed someone's instructions on the website, and
you region hopped.
Yeah. So what was interesting, just to break it down for anyone that's interested, because instead of being $15, which is a good price for Hollow Knight, it's $7.50 or 150 Mexican dollars, which was a really crazy thing to put on my credit card.
Yep.
Basically, you have to have it's easier if you have your Switch. You go on, I think it's like accounts.nintendo.com on a browser, sign in your account, change it from your location to Mexico, and it'll say like, oh, you know, we're going to sign you out of some of this stuff, but you can just sign back in. On your Switch, go to your eShop. It will ask you to sign back in. You'll be in the Mexican eShop store. Pick up whatever you need to and start downloading in the background. And then exit the eShop store and then switch your account back over on the browser, and then you're done. And your games are available and re-downloadable in the US eShop store.
Yep.
And just worked fine. So I got Hollow Knight for 50% off. And I really like Hollow Knight so far. So
tell me about this game. What is it?
It is a Metroidvania. It is let's call it a traditional Metroidvania. It is, number one, it's beautiful. It has such a cool art style, and I sort of didn't like how the game looked until I saw it in movement. I saw some trailer a couple months ago. I was like, oh, okay, well, this actually looks really good.
Yeah. Did this like drop during E3 as well?
It's been out on Steam Early Access for I think a year, and they've sort of been like adding onto it, and they've just put out like 2 big DLC packs after it had a proper launch. The thing I had heard from so many people is that the first area, maybe like area and a half, is pretty boring. And I can attest to that. The first... I understand where they're going with it. Like, the first town you run into doesn't have a lot of people. The more I'm going into the dungeon, the more people I'm starting to see there and running into. They're saying, like, look, for the first hour or two, just keep pushing on. You're not going to have like all of your skills. You're not going to have any interesting attacks. But once you beat like the first 2 bosses and get into another area, that's where it really opens up and gets really interesting. So I'm sort of just getting through that now. I can also say the intro area is really good at. I can tell this game is going to be incredibly hard in a way that's really rewarding. Because it is more than happy to punish me for me being dumb.
It's Super Meat Boy Jew.
Yeah, in a way that I really respect, where it's like, look, if you're gonna jump around this place like an idiot, like, you're gonna run into a flying person, and that's gonna knock you in a pit of spikes. Like, you gotta be more careful. Like, move a little bit, clear out some enemies, like, keep moving along. Yeah. Don't be dumb when you're platforming. A lot of stuff like that. I have also heard this game is incredibly massive, which I am very, very excited about. You give me a really big Metroidvania, and I am super pumped. So I think I've played about an hour of it so far, and a lot of that has been, all right, let's get used to jumping. Let's get used to, you can swing your sword in the 4 cardinal directions. I did some interesting stuff platforming already with the down swipe. If you use it to attack an enemy, especially an enemy that can't get hurt, you kind of do like a pogo bounce. So I already got to like a chest I wasn't supposed to by doing that off of an invulnerable enemy. So I'm already sort of seeing some stuff. I'm already seeing some fun combat stuff, and I'm also seeing stuff where it's like the Symphony of the Night thing. You remember where you walked in that one room and there's just like a corridor of spikes? And you're like,
yep.
I don't know what I have to do to get in there, but whatever's on the other side has to be super cool. I already run into that in Hollow Knight, where it's like one of those big shafts that goes straight up, and there's like patches of spikes on either side, and it's like, cool. Either I have to get some sort of, triangle jump or something, but I'm super pumped to figure out what. I've not yet saved enough of the currency to place pins on the map yet, but as soon as I can, that's going to be one of my first pins, where it's like, all right, something cool is here. I'm going to come back probably in like 5 or 10 hours and then be like, all right, yeah, that can, all right, we'll go back there. But so far so good. Music has been sparse but really incredible. There's a lot more story to it than I was expecting already. But what's in there is really good, and I'm so excited to play this. I was waiting for it to come out on PS4 and Xbox One, which they're saying they're still working with both platform holders to do. But for $750,
who's going to complain for that?
Yeah, like I can't say I'm gonna wait. And it came out this year on Switch, so it could be eligible for top 10. Which is Moon and I had a conversation pre-show about how we're going to do top 10 this year, because there's a lot of weird stuff where it's like Hollow Knight came out on PC on 2017 early access, but the full release came out on consoles on 2018, so it's like, I'll probably count it for top 10, but you could have an argument for, well, it's really a 2017 game that just got a new release. Like, it's...
Yep.
Thank goodness we don't have a lot of rules around top 10, because then it'd be like, here are the 2 games I finished this year that came out this year, not on early access. And yeah, So I'm going to be spending a lot of time with my Switch over the next couple of weeks. So I'm very excited to play more, both more Octopath Traveler and Hollow Knight. And thankfully, Octopath is a cartridge and Hollow Knight is digital, so I've got both.
Oh, you get the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah,
there.
exactly. So that's all I played this week. Let's take a break. All right.
Give me 2 minutes. I just need to run the bathroom and douse water all over myself.
Okay. We'll check news stories. Hello, everyone in chat. Let's see if there's any new news.
Phone. I need to try and catch a video.
How do I get better at Fortnite? I don't know. I'm not good at Fortnite.
Video.
This is unfortunate. This is frustrating. I shouldn't have expected any less, I guess. But Patrick Hancock over at Destructoid posted a news story saying, like, look, I suck at Fortnite. Here are a bunch of questions I have, like, what's your drop strategy? Like, what are things you wish you knew when you first started? How to get better at building? You know, that sort of stuff. I feel like he's making a really concerted effort to get better at the game, and most of these responses so far have been get good, and that sucks. Like I said, I shouldn't have expected anything else, but that's a bit of a bummer. Rogue Trooper movie in the works. Yeah. Splatoon 2 Pearl and Marina Amiibo unboxing video. No, thanks. Somebody's playing a soccer match on motorcycles. That looks super cool. The Calling 2's devs now face some admittedly difficult decisions. Well, I haven't watched any footage of the Calling 2, but man, it does not look good, and it does not sound good, I should say. And yikes, a lot of what Steam is showing is that the most number of people that are playing this at any time is 2 or 3. And it came out this week? Last week? Yikes. I think the thing that seems really frustrating from people that like to really... the first one is that the second one came out, and apparently they just changed everything good about the game and changed it to something bad. So... ooh, Destructoid. Here you go. It's time for another Viva Pinata. Yes. Yep. Let's get another one of those. Toxic Joker in chat says, Calling 2 dropped the ball badly. Yeah, it's so disappointing and frustrating to see, especially, like, in a post-Destiny 2 world. Like, just stop changing if you got it right the first time, if you're going to put out a sequel, don't screw it up. Like, don't screw up the stuff that people really liked. The Doctor Who teaser of the World Cup apparently wasn't very exciting. That's a bummer. Excited for that. When does that new season start? I don't know. Interesting. I'm surprised how soon Monster Hunter World will be out on PC. I thought that was going to be coming out later, and they're like, no, it's coming out in August. That's nice to see someone hold off on an announcement until it's just done. Calypso picks up the Commandos Tactics series. I couldn't think of a better developer for that. And they say they're going to make new ones and potentially remaster the old ones. Great. Calypso's great. Keep doing good stuff. I mean, just keep making Tropico games, at the very least. Fortnite on Switch added gyroscope aiming. which apparently worked really well in Splatoon 1 and 2, and I hear works really well for that, shockingly. There's even an option to enable this mode only when looking down the sights of a weapon. Great. That's all you really need. Excuse me. Alright. Nothing really exciting happening today, which is not that much of a surprise because it's Sunday. See if Reset Era has anything. Octopath Traveler official thread, which is so interesting. Star Citizen no longer offering refunds. Yikes. Anyone who backed Star Citizen, which has received an insane amount of crowdfunding, can no longer ask to be refunded by developer Cloud Imperium Games. Well, the standard means of asking refunds were removed through Star Citizen's Terms of Service update in June of 2016. CIG stopped issuing them completely in December 2017. Since December 2017, they've been ignoring all refund demands. One backer went so far as to take CIG to court, apparently lost, claiming the judge did not want to hear anything about the Terms of Service conscionability or lack of consideration. Interesting. I'm surprised. This is one of the first solid positive impressions I've seen about this. This one poster is saying it's the most fun I've had with any game in the last few years. This year it's finally shaping up to be an incredible experience. I mean, I from the outside looking in, it looks like a scam. I mean, $20,000 for, well, there was, what was the latest thing? You can only have access to buy one of the new expensive ships if you had previously spent like a total of at least $20,000. Like that, from the outside looking in, that's insane. But I'm surprised that someone came in here and said that they have enjoyed it. I haven't heard anybody that has said they've enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't... Of course, this thread is just gonna get all up in their grill about this. Yeah, I think the craziest thing about Star Citizen is they keep saying that they have a bunch of gameplay and like there's a game there to play, but it doesn't necessarily seem like there is. Ah, this drink is so good. But I don't. To be fair, I haven't really been following it that closely because it hasn't seemed like there was much there. So I haven't invested much time because it seems like every time they come out with something, there's just not a ton of game there. Oh, someone apparently has a really good breakdown video on they call it the Sunk Cost Galaxy, which is a really great title. Who is this? Binky ATX. People are saying it's a really good overview of what's going on with the game overall. Cool. I'll have to go watch that. As a thumbnail of Tim Schafer, and I was like, wait, what? That Grand Blue Fantasy spin-off game got delayed. Finished Life is Strange Before the Storm. A few questions. Sure. Yeah, he's asking about stuff that isn't explained in the games. So, I guess that's the answer. Oh boy. The thread someone started. Why is Destiny 2 considered to be bad? Already has 290 replies. Oh, so this is someone who got back into Destiny 1 and is wondering why Destiny 2 has gotten so much crap. So here's the problem that I have. Toxic Joker asks, what outlet do you like to go for games, boss? It sounds like Giant Bomb. I generally just check my favorite streamers out. Used to be IGN, but that's ship sailed. Yeah, I do Giant Bomb for quick looks, mostly. What do I have here in my... Ars Technica, Destructoid, Gamma Sutra especially, Kotaku, Polygon a little bit, Tiny Cartridge I like a lot. I guess Wired doesn't really do anything anymore. Oh, hi, Tybalt. Do you need me to let you out? Oh, I gotta let a cat out. I didn't even know he was trapped here with me. I'll be right back. Yeah, hi, come on. I'll let you out. Yeah. Here you go. There. I didn't even think he was trapped in here with me. So the thing that bothers me about Destiny 2's criticism, and the very first post in this thread is, I think Vanilla Destiny 2 is a great game, way better than Vanilla Destiny 1. Yes. That's the problem, is you're comparing Vanilla Destiny 1, which was not great, to Vanilla Destiny 2, which is not great. But I'm comparing Destiny 1 Year 3 to Destiny 2 launch. That's the thing, is if anyone played Vanilla Destiny 1 and they pick up Vanilla Destiny 2, Jesus, they're gonna say like, oh my god, this is such a better experience. But if you were in there with Destiny 1 for the entirety of the 3 years, or at the very least, you know, you picked up the Taken King and you picked up Rise of Iron and you just sort of finished Destiny 1 off, there's no way you can pick up Destiny 2 and say that that's an acceptable experience. And that's really frustrating. Oh, someone posted in a Reset Era like, hey, I just started playing Destiny 1 again after a while away, like, but I hear Destiny 2 has been bad, I haven't really been following it. You know, why are people so upset at Destiny 2? And I was just ranting on stream that the false equivalency that people are comparing is Vanilla Destiny 1 and Vanilla Destiny 2. And they say, well, Destiny 2 is so much better than Destiny 1. It's like, yes, if you're comparing those two slices, yes, but you have to compare the end of Destiny 1 to the beginning of Destiny 2, and that's where, you know, this person says, like, the community is impossible to please. Bungie's doing, they call them Bungo. Bungie's doing everything it can to get the game to a place the community is happy with, but it's never enough. Right. Because we had the game that was good. And you fucked it up. Like,
at the end of the day, isn't that what sequels are about? Is about learning from your mistakes or going in a different direction.
And like building upon this foundation you created.
They made the same mistakes 2 fucking times in a row.
Yep.
It's on them to not do that after you've made the first game.
Well, I mean, like, even like look at the launch of Destiny 1 had bounties, and the launch of Destiny 2 didn't. It's like, well, you're giving me even less base content to keep me stringing along day in and day out.
Yep.
It's really frustrating to hear for people. I understand that when you're on the outside looking in, that it seems like the community is never happy about what Bungie's doing. And that's because we had it made Destiny 1 Year 3.
Yep.
Like, Rise of Iron was fine. Taken King was really great. But, like, for Destiny 2 to just, like, shit itself out the door is just not great. Toxic George says, to me, Forsaken is basically Taken King, basically what Destiny 2 should be. Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff they're talking about with Forsaken is, between Forsaken and then sort of the, like, the content pass or whatever they're calling it after that, seems like what they should have. They shouldn't have sold DLC piecemeal when Destiny 2 came out. It should be the pass or
season pass.
Yeah, either you do a season pass, or now it's going to be like a yearly pass, or you just stop putting story and DLC because they just can't do it. Warmind was only okay because Bungie didn't make it.
Hot take. Also true, but hot take.
Yeah, I mean, like, the reason they have 2 other studios working with them is Vicarious Visions and High Moon. And High Moon did some stuff in Taken King, and I think they did the majority of the stuff around Rise of Iron. Like, I think they did Sparrow Racing League. Yeah, Toxic Grocer says should do what Warframe has done. Yep. Just copy Warframe.
Yeah.
Warframe is doing no wrong.
Games as a Service, look at that game as a prime example of how you do it right.
Yep.
Like, consistently. Elite Dangerous is another good example of that.
Yeah.
2 games that, again, it started out as, like, very small, very dedicated fan base was interested in it.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, they've got hardcore dedication from a larger fan base because they just keep supporting and expanding those games.
Yeah, they're just quietly doing really good work.
Mm-hmm. I guess you can't do quiet work when you're in bed with Activision, then, can you? It's got to be...
That's a fair point, yeah.
It's got to be
the best game ever, yeah!
Yeah, and give you Call of Duty.
The frustrating part about Destiny is that game is still fun to play. Like, the shooting still feels good, the movement still feels good. It's just... Like, the core, as I've always said, the core of it is still fun to play. It's just... It's taking them so long to get everything else right. And just, like, frustratingly long to get, like... Hey, can I delete more than one shader at a time? Which is coming in Forsaken. But, like, it's taking you a year to do that. Like, I know that is a hard challenge. I know it's one of those challenges that's much harder to accomplish than it looks from the outside.
Yes,
like,
I'm sure
we'll talk about that in the news engineers.
Stories.
Like,
yeah.
Come on. Toxic Joker says, I put in 3,000 hours between Destiny 1 and 2, and I feel robbed at times. Yeah. I mean, that's like... For Toxic Joker and I, like, that's sort of the worst part about being a Destiny fan. It's like, you can put so much time into it. I've a little less time than they do, but you can put so much time into it and genuinely enjoy most of your time, but still feel kind of robbed by it.
Yeah, but that's the problem, though, is when something is really, really, really good, which... Destiny, like first Destiny I played a lot of, and some of that was incredible, some great moments, some great things in that game. But then when you, lack of a better way to phrase it, but when they disrespect you in the way that the developers feel like they have in this case, it's like, well, why am I putting so much effort into something you're making?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I even interested in it anymore? Because...
They have that same Bungie attitude where it's like, we know what you want. It's like, no.
No, you don't.
You need to listen. And if they're crackpot ideas where it's like, we should be able to equip exotics in every slot. It's like, obviously no one really wants you to do that because that breaks the game.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know.
The most unforgivable one for me is, why does the current roster not carry over from strike to strike?
Yeah.
That's dead simple.
Yep.
Like, that's something that was
and
in
they had it in the
one.
first one. It's not even like, boy, I wish one of these games would do it. Because, like, I met so many nice people in Destiny 1 because of that. And, like, you know, there would be ones where we're playing for 2 hours and we're just motoring through strikes and we're, like, going out of our way to pick these people up when they die. Because, like, we've been together for strike after strike, and it's like, as soon as we drop the boss, we go around the chest and we do a little dance party. Like, I try and do that in Destiny 2. Like, chest is down, you know, we scoop up all our stuff, like, let's do a dance party. And as soon as they get their loot, they're already up in orbit. It's just like...
Yep.
They've... amazingly, Destiny 1 had some of the nicest community I've run into in games, and they completely neutered that in Destiny 2. It's so frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Grumble, grumble, grumble. Alright, I'm ready to start whenever you are.
Yep.
Yeah, Talk to Your was right. 1 out of 40 times isn't listening, it's just throwing us a bone. Yeah. they've been getting better. Like, they've been sharing their roadmaps, and they've been doing more events and stuff like that, but they just have so much work to do. And, like, once Forsaken comes out, they desperately need a Destiny 2 collection. Because you're going to have to have Destiny 2, Curse of Osiris, Warmind, and Forsaken, and then the content pass for all that stuff.
I bet you the ego is big enough as well for them to call it Game of the Generation Edition.
Probably. Because they said Destiny 2, I think the lowest I've seen it was today. You can buy it on like Amazon or Best Buy for $5. So like there's your just Destiny 2 is $5. They said once Forsaken gets really close, they're going to do a huge discount on Curse of Osiris and Warmind, which will be great. But then you still have to pay for Forsaken, and then Forsaken drops in September, which God is soon. And then I think the first content pack from the content pass drops in like March. So you have a little bit of time, but
not a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't know. Stupid, dumb Destiny 2 that I still enjoy playing. Oh yeah, while you were gone, I didn't realize we have this little like cat hammock under this chair over here. I didn't realize.
Yeah, Scuttle was in there by any chance? Because I heard him meow earlier.
No, Tibble was in there. I had no idea.
Yeah, I heard him meow earlier.
I wasn't even paying attention. Like, I think he needed to go to the bathroom pretty badly, so thankfully he didn't pee in here. But all right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get started here in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of July 16th, 2018. Adventure Time Pirates of the Enchiridion comes out on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. I'm hoping that this is the good Adventure Time game, because we haven't really gotten one yet.
Yeah.
Seems like a no-brainer, but even
How
though...
many years?
Oh, God. 10 years, maybe?
Okay, because we've been waiting like 30 for a good Dragon Ball Z game, so don't you complain about
That's
that to
fair.
us.
Well, we got fighters.
Yeah, how long did we wait for fighters?
About 30, 40 years, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sonic Mania Plus comes out PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Had a really hard time finding out what was new in this until today. New friends are in the game, like 2 new ones. But pretty big.
Which one is Sonic Mania?
That's the most recent one that came out. The one with like the animated, the good one, the downloadable one.
Is this one where you can make your own Sonic guy?
No, that's Sonic Rivals. No, this is the 2D classic one. You know that the other people made, not Sega.
This is the one the fan made, and Sega were just like, okay, let's just give him the license and give him a little bit of budget and see what he can do.
Yeah, and they made a bunch of other stuff before that too. The big change seems to be Encore mode, which is sort of like the different mode in Resident Evil 7, where it's like it's the same game, but like enemies have been moved around, items are more scarce, they've been changed around too, boss AI has been changed around, and apparently it's a totally different game. So that's pretty cool, and I guess it's more Sonic Mania, so can't go wrong there.
Yes.
Hand of Fate 1 and 2 are both coming to the Switch.
I really need to play those games.
Yeah, I really loved the first Hand of Fate, and apparently the second one kind of fixes all of the issues I had with the first one, so I guess I'll have to buy another game on Switch again.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna run out of space pretty soon. I'm gonna have to buy one of those SD cards. All right, let's move on to news stories. Let's talk about first news story. A game I really loved that had a lot of problems. Enter the Gungeon, the Dungeons and Dragons DLC, or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons DLC. Looks like it's going to land next week on the 19th.
Can we just clarify the spelling on dragons there, please, as well?
Draguns.
Yes. Dragons.
Yes.
Not dragons, dragons.
No. Well, mostly because the final boss of the game is the Dragon. As a gun, it's a dragon made out of guns and bullets.
I really should start that game. Like, I bought that game like a year ago, and I haven't loaded it up once.
So, for you and anyone else who maybe has this or is looking at buying this and hasn't played it yet, please wait until after this comes out. So, this is this is a huge update. They are adding a whole bunch of new items. They are adding something like 150 synergies between items. The base game only had like 20 or so. They're adding hundreds of new rooms, new bosses, all sorts of new stuff. The thing that I'm most interested in is they're saying that they're going to make the game more generous overall, which is a huge improvement for it. Apparently you can switch it back to the vanilla release for drop rates, but I think that's going to make this game way better. And just, the game often was way too stingy for about a lot of stuff, and I think for me that's a big thing. And it's free, this update.
Yep.
So this isn't their first paid DLC. That's coming, I think, early next year they're talking about doing. But for us console peeps, except for the Switch version, this also contains the Payday 2 stuff, which is kind of fun because they added new buddies in the game that follow you around and do stuff that are the characters from Payday 2, like with the masks.
Oh, of course.
So apparently they're really strong. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for this to finally come out. They have been talking about it lately. The reason why it's been delayed so much is because they bit off way more than they could chew after the Switch release.
Did they have like a meeting with Nicholas before they started doing this?
So oddly enough, this is a Devolver Digital company. So they're published by Devolver. So, which is probably a really great thing because Enter the Gungeon did really well on launch, and I think if it was many other publishers, they'd probably been like, "Hey, man, you got to get something out here." But it sounds like Devolver really had a lot of belief in a DLC that got way bigger than anyone expected and was way harder for them to make because they're a pretty small team. It's less than 10 people, I think.
Yeah.
So for them to make a game like this and then keep improving on it is pretty incredible.
Yeah, good on them.
Yeah. Next news story, Nintendo is reportedly rolling out new Switch hardware that prevents it from getting that hardware exploit we saw a couple of months ago. Apparently they have just they have a new version of the chip that is the one that got affected by this hardware exploit, and apparently the ones that are shipping have the older firmware on it, 4.1.0, and firmware 5 came out in March. So I think that gives us a pretty good idea of how long this has been in development. The Switch hacker who came up with the exploit originally said that he let Nintendo and Nvidia know about that months before he ever put it out. So they probably worked on that pretty early.
I do like that weird thing with the hackers, like letting the companies know. It's like, yo, dude, I'm a hacker. I hacked your stuff. This is the exploit. Here you go. Have some advance notice before I drop this bomb. Yeah. It's
this really weird. It's this really weird, like, gentleman's agreement. Thieves. That's always existed ever since, God, like the early 80s, where it's sort of like, look, I like your software. I just broke the hell out of it. Here's how I did it. I'm going to share it for knowledge in 3 months. That should give you enough time. Or, like, if it's really bad, like 6 or 9 months. Or as soon as you patch it, like a week after that, then I'll talk about it. So it's this weird, like, white hat sort of thing where it's like, I'm going to tell everyone because it's cool, but I'll give you a little bit of time to fix it.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that's weird but cool, Unreal on the Unreal Marketplace has changed their revenue sharing plan. So before it was the standard 70-30, where 70 goes to the creator, 30 goes to Epic. They're now changing it to 88-12.
Good on them.
So yeah, anybody who's selling like mods or skins or stuff like that on the Unreal Marketplace is now going to take 18% more than that. I think if you want to be snarky about it, you can say, well, it's probably because Fortnite has been doing really well. And it's like, Probably.
Yes, probably.
But
That's exactly what it is.
benefits these creators. So screw it.
It benefits the creators, and it's a move that does not feel selfishly corporate from a corporation who has every right to do that. I'm not saying it's right for them to do that, but they are within their right to do that.
You almost expected to hear this new story and be like, we're now splitting revenues 50-50. It's like, wait, that's worse.
In modern day society, that is what I expect to hear.
Yeah.
When I actually saw that break, it took me, I read it, I was like, oh, of course they are. They're taking more of the money. Yeah. And then I reread it, I was like, oh, no, they're not. They're taking
it's 88%. Okay, right. That goes to the creator, the big part of the pie. Yeah, so, I mean, that's really great. And especially with how prolific Unreal Engine 4 continues to be, that a lot of these assets could end up in larger products. And that's really great. Darksiders 3 has a release date. It's now coming in November, specifically November 27th.
Very interesting.
There's, I think, unfortunately, the coverage that everybody has been doing on this game is LOL. There's a $400 copy of it, but
of
course there is. It comes with some dumb statue, like.
And how many people who make fun of that play Dota? I wonder.
Sure.
Or Fortnite. I wonder.
Yeah.
Or anything else like that. I wonder.
The thing I wonder is I still don't know what this game is gonna be, because I haven't really been watching stuff. This is another one like Anthem I've been talking about lately, where it's like, I'll watch that new trailer that comes out, sure. And then like 6 months go by and they're like, we have a new release date and a new trailer. It's like, I'll watch that any minute now. Next thing you know,
before you know it's out. Yeah,
I have it in my hands and I'm installing it. I was like, wonder what this thing's gonna be. Who's even in this? I know it's Fury, but like,
to be honest, I am approaching games that I know I'm gonna pick up day one, such as this, as Anthem. I'm just like, no, I don't care. I don't need to see anything. Yeah. Like, I'm already in. You have my money already. Yeah. Let's go in with as little knowledge as I can to get the purest experience out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm just happy they're making more of them. Yeah. That's all I really want.
The only downside is, from what I understand, the remastered versions of the old games are a little messed up.
Yeah.
And haven't been fixed at all.
Yeah, they have a little bit of... It's one of those things where it's like, you can get through it and they're fine. They're just a little bit rough around the edges.
Yeah.
But they look really good. So, like, I think if you have to balance what you care about. Like, do you want it to look really good, or do you just want to scoop up the old one and, like, see if it's on backwards compatibility? So.
Yeah, true.
Next news story, Dead Cells finally coming out on August 7th for Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and I think it's finally the final version is coming out on PC at that point too.
Speaking of games I will be buying day one.
Yeah, it is going to be $25. There's like I think 20% off pre-order bonus right now, which is pretty good. But I've seen a little bit of Dead Cells, watched my favorite Isaac YouTuber Northern Lion play some of it. And man, it's like a roguelite action platformer Metroidvania thing, and it looks really good.
Yep.
I have heard it plays as well as it looks like it plays, which to me is sold.
Yeah, from what I understand as well, this is one of those games that came out in early access. And everyone was like, "So this is getting released like next week, right? Because this is already done,
right?" Yeah. Apparently, all they've done in early access is sort of like massage items and drop rates, and like just keep adding more environments and bosses and areas to it. So seems like they kind of got it right pretty early on.
Yeah.
And speaking of indie games, last news story we have here, Nintendo says ideally they want to launch 20 to 30 indie titles a week on the Switch.
Yeah. Nintendo, you're crazy. What you're looking at there is Steam.
Yeah, like that was literally my point. Don't be Steam. Like, I feel like if you look at the eShop store right now for Switch, there's a lot of stuff on there that you can look at and say that's probably not good. There's going to be some diamonds in the rough here and there that, Like, I liked that A Robot Named Fight game that I played earlier this year. Didn't get much promotion or anything on the store, but I think the most frustrating thing here is this quote from where's his managing executive officer Shinya Takahashi says, quote, "In the future, we're looking to release around 20 to 30 indie games on Nintendo Switch per week, and we definitely expect to see some great games among them," end quote.
Yeah, that's not how you do it, dude.
Yeah, that's the opposite. Just release the great ones. Like, what I would really love the Switch to be is to be the filter from Steam.
Yeah, or the Vita of this generation.
Yeah, like, I want to see the best of the best indie stuff land on the platform, not star of the indie stuff.
Yeah.
Because that to me means that I'm not gonna... If you put too much stuff on the platform, I'm not gonna play anything on the platform because I can't...
It becomes impossible to find.
Yeah, and it also becomes impossible a little bit to care about a lot of indie stuff when there's so much stuff that's coming out. You know, like, when you look at something like itch.io, or you look at, like, that Pico 8 thing I was playing around with before I got sick, you know, Pico 8 has a really great BBS where you can publish anything you've ever made on there. But they have the filtering, they have rating, people can review stuff, so you can easily find the really great stuff without having to work to deal with all the crap like I make, you know, stuff that people don't want to play. But the eShop doesn't have that. It's just like, here's a list of new releases. That maxes out at like 200. If you know what game you're looking for, just search. I hope you put it on your wish list. Like, that's not how you do that, guys.
No.
Please. Let's move on to questions. First up is
really quick. Sorry, just before we move on to questions,
we forgot recommends also. Yeah.
I just have to ask. I have to mention this because it's a news story that popped up that made me laugh, and it's so dumb.
Oh, sure.
This is the Colonial Marines mod.
Oh boy, yeah. So, Colonial Marines. Someone found out this week that in an INI file, which technically isn't game code, just configuration stuff, that if you change one letter in a variable, it was something like Xeno something to tether. They misspelled tether and they put an A in there, so it was like tether. If you pull out the A, apparently a lot of the Xenomorph AI sort of sews itself back together. I've seen some people say that... I saw originally people saying that it's a brand new game, everything's fixed. Apparently...
No, it's not.
Not really, but the Xenomorphs are a lot smarter, which is a thing you're interested in an Aliens game.
Yes.
So, I thought that was pretty great.
I thought it was absolutely hilarious, and the response has been the usual maelstrom of poop.
Yeah.
Of, oh, they did it wrong. I couldn't put co-op in because co-op takes 2 days to put in, and all this other stuff, and it's just churned up all of those, like, what was it, like 2009 feelings again.
Yep.
And it's like, come on, guys. Number one, give it a break. Number two, mistakes happen. Number three, yes, there's a lot of stuff around this that's very complicated. Just chill out.
Yeah.
Take a breath and calm down.
I think the thing that people are forgetting, that I had forgotten too until I saw some game developer posted on Twitter, was to say that this game had a troubled development is an understatement. They switched 2 or 3 publishers, they switched development teams a bunch, like, it kept getting delayed, it kept getting pooped on by virtually everybody except for Randy Pitchford. And by the time they're kicking this thing out the door, they were exhausted and they just wanted to be done.
Yeah.
So of course they missed a misspelling. Like, the team was broken in half because of this development. They're just getting it done.
It's like, imagine having a jury-rigged car that someone put together, and then someone else fixed that and put it together, and then someone else fixed that and put it together after it broke down, and then you get the car and you have to figure out how to fix that car when it breaks down again, and nothing has been done by the instructions, nothing has been done by the manual, and you're the one who's got to figure it out. It's like, okay, there's certain aspects about this which are stupid. Randy Pitchford being super gung-ho on this game was probably a mistake on his part, but that's why the world gave us Jim Sterling.
Right.
Because they are the asymptotes of each other.
Yeah, the good side and the evil side.
Yes, and depending on your stance, that can be either or.
You get to choose who. You get to choose which team has which one.
But at the end of the day, it's not about that anymore. It's about the developers themselves. Just let the devs do what they do.
Yeah.
They made a mistake, so what? It happens. You know.
Also, like the game isn't solved by removing the letter A in this thing. Like it has so many more other fundamental issues that it's not. Sure, it's funny, and I'm sure a lot of the devs think it's sort of like gallows humor funny at this point. But like, it's not the saving grace for this game.
No, I mean to be honest, it's a middle of the road game. I played it through to completion, and it is completely average in all regards, and that's fine. The biggest disappointment about it is the fact that it has an Alien license, and maybe instead of everybody bombarding this thing with a whole bunch of crap, people should have probably played Isolation instead, which is an amazing one. So,
well, speaking of amazing stuff, let's talk about TVGP recommends, which I almost forgot this week. Do you have anything up this week?
My recommendation this week is don't sit in a hot room.
Oh, I like it.
Okay.
My recommendation is my wife recommended this to me, and it turned out really great. So I guess NPR has a podcast called Rough Translation, where they try and talk about current issues in other countries and relate that to issues that are going on in the U.S.
Interesting.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I've been meaning to go listen to their other episodes, but the episode that my wife sent over to me is called Austenistan, and basically what I think it's like they mentioned in the episode, it's like the last episode of their second season. Basically, it's only 45 minutes, so it's a super short listen, not like some shows. I look at
2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, 2:15. They basically track this group of women that are living in Pakistan, and they're Jane Austen fans. And the women are using what they've learned and what they've enjoyed from Jane Austen's novels to figure out how to get around some of the restrictions for women in Pakistan and Pakistani culture.
Okay.
It's really fascinating, and
yeah, I might have to give this a listen.
Yeah, it's called Austenistan, and it's from NPR's Rough Translation. It's one of those things where I heard it and I was like, okay, this is probably going to be interesting. It's super interesting for the whole time, and it follows the lives of these three women as they move around the world and deal with their restrictive culture, and also somehow and suddenly deals with the woman who's hosting and interviewing these people, how some of that stuff has rolled into her life as well.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of revisionist history, which, there you go, there's my recommend. I might have done it already. But revisionist history, Malcolm Gladwell. It's an incredible podcast.
Yeah, so go listen to all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, Austenistan was really good. All right, let's move on to emails as it continues to get hotter in this room, and probably the same for Moonpier. Blake Torville on Discord writes, if Sony continues to not play ball with crossplay, do you see developers like Bethesda not bringing their games to PlayStation platforms if they continue to refuse crossplay in the future? Not for someone as big as Bethesda.
Yeah. To be honest, my answer for this is just no, period. Because at the end of the day is whether they want to play ball with crossplay or not, whether their approach towards consumers is correct or not. They have the market share. And if you're making a game and if you're trying to make money on that game, you have to go to where the market share is.
Yeah. And I feel like I feel like there's two avenues to fight this if you really want to. On one hand is indie developers. You know, if a lot of indies just pull off of the PS4 and say, like, look, you're not going to do crossplay, I'm not going to put any of my games on your platform, which in and of itself probably isn't that impactful unless it's like every indie studio.
Yes.
But on the other hand is Fortnite. I think Epic is the one that needs to fight with Sony, because not only are they big enough, but they control an engine, which is probably still the most popular engine.
Yeah. And
they have Fortnite, which is, I think,
the biggest game in the world right now.
Yeah, like between that and Minecraft is probably a good argument for which one is bigger. It's probably still Fortnite, but you know, Minecraft has the longevity there. But if someone is going to fight that, it probably has to be Epic holding up a sign that just says Fortnite can go at any point.
Yeah.
You don't get a cut of those V-coin sales.
Yeah,
V-bucks, whatever.
I think that's the problem, though, is then they're going to lose that entire cut as well. And people, as much as people seem to love Fortnite, I don't view the average Joe Street Fighter fan as picking up an Xbox just so they can play Fortnite, or picking up a Switch so they can play Fortnite.
Right. They'll play it on their phone or their tablet first. Yeah,
that would be more likely. To be honest, I kind of hope they don't ever stop this. I kind of hope they do, because it would be better for everyone. But I just love the shade getting thrown around by everybody.
By like Nintendo.
Yeah, when Microsoft tweets at Nintendo being like, hey, do you want to play some at Minecraft?
Right.
And Nintendo like, yeah, hold on, let me just grab my at Switch. And it's just like,
yeah,
come on.
Let me cut a trailer about some shade. Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
We're seeing shade from companies that never really do, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to damage Sony in the long run. Like, yep. I think we discussed it after E3. This feels like a you want to get a second job kind of moment.
Yeah, $600 at launch.
Mm-hmm.
We learned our lesson for long enough to be #1, and then we forgot all about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that the way companies usually go, though?
Unfortunately, yeah. T-Bomb Rocks in Discord asks us a couple questions here. He says, I picked up Warhammer Vermintide 2 and Earthfall this week. I'm absolutely loving Warhammer and still have not touched Earthfall. Have you ever bought two games with similar types of gameplay or concepts to find that you are only playing one of the two?
Oh, yes. I have probably 10 different Telltale games installed on my Xbox right now, and I'm playing 0 of them, even though there's one I should have finished already, and one I'm in the middle of. I feel
like this probably happened to me during the 360 days a lot, where I'm like, I'm going to pick up a JRPG on the 360 and 3DS. Whoops, screw the 3DS.
Yeah. Roguelikes. Yeah. I have Flint Hook. I have Gungeons and Enter the Gungeon. I have Isaac. I will have Dead Cells when that comes out, and right. Yet still I'm only playing one of them.
Yeah.
Spoiler related to Isaac.
I mean, the worst part about roguelikes is it's not like God of War where you can sit down and it's like, this has a start, this has an end, this has a platinum I will get, and when I get it, I am done. With Isaac, it's sort of like, I got the platinum, so I have just started.
Yep.
2,000 hours down.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like when I had money and I didn't have a kid, this happened a lot.
Yeah,
it's like 5 new games I want came out this week. All right, scoop up all 5 of them. I didn't play any of them. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm not kidding when I say like I have almost 300 games installed on my Xbox One.
Yeah.
And literally, I scroll through like 120 games to get to Isaac, and there's still like 200 left below that. And it's just, as I'm scrolling through, the problem I run into is its mood. It's like, I don't feel like starting the remaster of Darksiders or the Sleepy Dogs. As much as I love that game, I don't feel like restarting that right now, because I'm not in the right space or time for a big open world game. The only reason why I started God of War is because, number one, it's an exclusive. Number two, it's relatively tight, from what I understand. Like, it's not a huge open world.
Yeah, it's not like a 70-hour game.
And number three, it's going to be in the discussions for Game of the Year this year.
Yes.
it has to be kind of from what I understand.
Yeah,
so
it's like your required reading for this year.
exactly,
Yeah.
and it's July and we're already halfway through the year, and I feel like I've missed about 40 games already that I need to get to as soon as I can.
I was looking at my top 10 list, and it's just like, I need to fill out games that I want to get to this year that I haven't yet, but I'm a little afraid of doing that.
Yes. Well, a big thing for me as well is that I've got the Yakuza games now as well available to me.
Heaven help you.
Which is a problem.
Don't worry, all 7 of them are going to be available on the platform pretty soon.
Great.
Just play 0. That's probably at the very least, that's the one you want to play because it's so good.
Yeah, from what I hear it is.
Yeah. T1 Rocks also asks, I'm starting to see more third-party games launch on Xbox One. Most of these are early access games and games with crossplay. If Sony continues its stance on no crossplay or early access, could you start to see the trend of more games launching on Xbox over Sony relying mainly on their exclusives? You know, I think T-Bomb and I had talked earlier about this week because I was grumbly about EA Access still not being on PS4 for seemingly no real reason.
Like, legitimate question now. Like, sorry to grind the railroad to a halt here.
Yeah.
What on earth did EA put out in that service would you play?
I think I would use it more as... I think I would use it more as a potential to try out some games that I don't know if I would like. Like,
so
they give me a chance
demos,
to,
like the 10 hours or whatever it is they play.
Yeah, and like try out Battlefield. Like Battlefield is, you know, whenever Battlefield 1 goes in the vault, it's like, okay, cool. Like, I'll try a Battlefield. I'll at least play the single player stuff that people loved 2 years ago. You know, I could play a little bit.
I still love that stuff.
Yeah, and like I could play a little bit of multiplayer, but like EA's not super... I'm not like a super EA follower, so the sports stuff doesn't apply to me. To me, it's more of I want both platforms to have parity with each other, and my main annoyance was Xbox Game Pass is really great. There's no excuse Sony doesn't have it, and I think T-Bomb Rocks was right to say, well, they probably don't want to do it to peak because of PlayStation Now. And my response was, cool, they should shut that down because it stinks, and they should just do Game Pass.
Yep.
That's really it.
I think the problem you'll run into there is Sony's network is not the best network.
Yeah.
If you release something like that and give people the ability to download all of those games,
yeah,
that's when they're going to run into serious issues.
Yeah, because like their streaming service... Any streaming service is not good, and PS Now is not great. I didn't enjoy using it when I gave it a trial. It just does not work super well.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not going to lie, though, I am really tempted to get PlayStation Plus for a little bit, because Heavy Rain is one of the games.
Yeah.
I've never played Heavy Rain.
That's a big part of why... Destiny 2 is probably another big part of why I like PlayStation Plus, but I do like... a lot of... I feel like if you're like us and the fine listeners of the show, and you're willing to try some stuff that you either haven't heard of or maybe you don't think is in your wheelhouse, I think PlayStation Plus's free stuff every month is really great.
Yeah.
Because between like the 2 marquee games they put out on PS4, sometimes like the stuff they put out on Vita and PS3, the 2 titles they put out over there per platform, those are cross-play on PS4 as well, or like cross-buy. So some months you're just getting 6 new games.
Yep, well, make sure you scoop them up while you can, because, oh boy, you're not getting them for much longer, are you?
Yeah. Yeah, sort of a bummer. Poor Vita.
Yep.
Poor PS3. Not poor PS3, that thing sort of sucked. Yay, 360! Yeah!
360 was great.
360 was great.
I think, honestly, that might be the console of a lifetime for me. Like, if there's a Lifetime Achievement Award for me when it comes to games, it goes on 360. Because that thing...
It was still good even with the Red Ring stuff.
Yeah.
Like...
Oh, my 360 died. I am going to go and buy a new one.
Yep.
Because I need to.
That's what I did. I went, oh, well, I got Red Ring. I'll just get a new one because there's a better one out now. Like, It wasn't even a thought.
No.
Yeah. All right, before we go down the nostalgia rabbit hole, that's our week. That's our week this week. That's our episode this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. All the links on the right-hand side of the page, including Discord. Come join us there. Place is hopping as usual. Game Club game is Unravel. Just about a week left on that. Talking about that on this Saturday, where we'll unveil the community voted on next game. Pretty much already has a winner, so, you know.
Usually I vote really early. I don't know if I voted on this one.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Does it begin with a C?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember if any other titles had a C in it, but so go play that, and we'll be back on Saturday for that. patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. You get all the cool behind the scenes and exclusive episodes. You get to hear all our dumb complaining between segments in your Patreon feed.
Yep.
And Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, blah blah blah, all those places. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
I only wrote down one title.
What?
I got distracted.
Okay.
We were talking about Killer Clowns. How can you blame me?
True. Well, I've got like 4, but they're all kind of long. Okay. Get the jelly out of Boston. I'm not going to carry you, dude. Weird dog-looking controller.
Oh yeah.
Full posse of peeps, and yay 360.
I'm gonna write down "Get the jelly out." That's probably a little snappier with the of Boston on the end of it. Mm-hmm. The only one I wrote down is "It's 2 cups of coffee."
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like that one's really snappy. I have "It's 2 cups of coffee" and "Get the jelly out." Both of those are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Either one you feel strongly about, or should I do a coin toss?
I'd lean more, like, I don't feel super strongly about either of them, but I'd lean more towards Get the Jelly Out.
Yeah. I like that one better. It's a little bit more punchy.
It's also a little bit more abstract.
Yeah. Alright, let's start in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 560 for July 16th, 2018. Get the jelly out.
Sweet, sweet raspberries.
Alright, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We will see you on Saturday for Game Club Recap. Bye!